Alright, we'll just wait for a few more people to populate the room and we will be officially going live. G'day Adam, how's it going mate? Thanks for joining me. Apologies that I've just been sitting here feverishly typing away on a separate window, but that is what I've been doing, just been putting out the link. I've yet to find out and work out through OBS how to bring up the stream so I can promote it before I actually go live. I've got to work that out, but it's not showing up on YouTube in the back end, so apologies that I've had to virtually hijack my own stream and use the first portion in order to, I guess, promote the stream itself. So thanks for joining me nonetheless. We've got a couple of people streaming through. Harry, g'day mate, thanks for joining us. First question as well, by the way, so thank you for that, and encourage people to send any questions you may have for your own team or with regards to any of the changes in today's team announcement for round 8. First, before I jump into your question, Harry, because it may be applicable to pretty much everyone that's watching at the moment, because it is a very good question about cash generation, and yeah, I mean, pretty obvious that cash gen is running a little bit, so I'll just lower my volume a bit because I think it is peaking, so apologies for that. Cash gen is the hot topic at the moment with all of us. If you're joining us for the first time on our channel, thank you so much. Just to give you a bit of an overview, if you want to sort of get an insight into my team, you will find on our YouTube channel on the front page there is a little playlist which is dedicated to what's called Damo's Team Talk. So that's me going through my team in greater detail from week to week, and we'll give you a bit of an insight into how many trades I've got, the strategies that I'm going with, and guys that I'm looking to bring in this week. And a big one, I guess a big topic that I discuss in that is cash generation and kind of what I've been using over the previous probably month coming out of price changes. So we'll just wait for a few more people to stream in with questions, but feel free as well to send in any questions that you may have with regards to your own team as well. So that applies to yourself, Adam, and you, Harry, as well, which you've also, I'll be able to answer your other question for the time being, which is Steele a good get? Absolutely. He is a very, very good get. I will give you a quick insight into my own team whilst we wait. So that's how I'm shaping up in terms of score. 2,414, down to 17 trades, which is a little bit less than what I would have liked. But in terms of ranking, you'll see that I've cut it actually in half. So sitting pretty there at 6,480. And I'll just bring up Steele. So again, check out my team talk to really, I won't go into my team again, because for those of you who have watched that video, you'll be hearing the exact same thing. So in terms of, I guess I will go into the guys coming into my team, but first and foremost, Jack Steele. He is a guy to target at the moment. There's a few guys to target. Jack Sinclair's one, who I've currently got in my team. Another one is, of course, this guy here, who you are referencing there, Harry, with regards to, Adam, excited for your new slice of bacon this weekend. I am indeed, mate. That is in reference to the big pink sweaty pig in Clary Oliver. So super amped to have him in my team. I should have started with him, but I opted to start with Laird. But the fact that I've got both in my team now gives me goosebumps, really. Keeps me warm at night, all that sort of stuff. Pig in a blanket type stuff. Bit of a food reference there and a bit of a reference to the pig himself in Oliver. Yeah, so he's another one to get if you can. I'll get into Clary just shortly, but as we're waiting for a few more people to stream in before we go into teams, yeah, to put it simply, Steele is an absolute steal. To use a bit of a pun there, as cringe as it is. Obviously dropped 67.2k. His break-even is still relatively high, but keep in mind that he is facing North this weekend, who he could go bananas against. And you can see there he's scored quite well. Actually, can you see that? Let me just sort of squeeze this screen back in, because I don't think you can see it. Apologies. Move my other screen out of the way so I can see what I'm bloody doing. yeah, you can see there. So 154, 128, and 109 is how he's performed against North in recent encounters. And yeah, it speaks for itself. Like, hampered obviously in that game against the Bulldogs, and you wouldn't have thought so based upon his points per minute, the time that he had on field, but he was playing through a broken shoulder, absolute gun. Had a bit of a downer in his return game against my mob, but a bit of a saving grace because he has dropped that 67.2k. And yeah, you could probably potentially wait another week, but I reckon he's probably going to go bananas against North. They give up a fair few points to opposition mids as well, from memory. But yeah, he's probably, I would have targeted him if I wasn't going for Clary. He comes in 115k less than Clary. But we know what we get with Clary. So, and I've been craving the taste of bacon for a fair while. So that pretty much sorts me for the time being. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question in a little bit more detail. But to put it simply, yes, Jack Steele is one to target. You've also asked, Harry, is Marshall a good downgrade from Darcy, but low on cash? I wouldn't be downgrading Darcy at the moment if you can help it. Like, just flicking across. It's probably a good time to go through teams, I think. But to put it simply, Darcy's kept his spot on the side at the moment in terms of fitness-wise. So I know there was some questions over his fitness coming into this week, but yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one because they play the late game on Saturday, and if he's a late out, I mean, they have named Josh Treacy, who can be a bit of a relief ruckman if need be. And then, of course, they've got the likes of Luke Jackson. So he could still be late out, but I wouldn't be worried as much considering that. So I wouldn't be, just to answer your question there, I wouldn't be worried about Darcy. So I'd be keeping Darcy. Don't worry about that. Marshall, I still have questions over his potential to be a top 2 scoring ruckman. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking to bring in Marshall or Darcy or trade out Darcy at this stage. Lordy, you have said, is Laird a good option? Injury cloud? No, there's no real injury cloud this week compared to last week. It's more so they were managing his what's the phrase? Managing minutes virtually, like in terms of training, sort of training load. They were managing his training load. So, you know, obviously he played through that suspect calf or calf tightness that he was taking into round 7. So there's no real issue there. So outside of that, just looking in terms of value-wise, so he did drop in price $400. That's probably the least I've seen anyone drop in a fair while. But yeah, overall he's dropped 70k. Faces the Cats, so a bit of a tough matchup, especially at GMHBA this weekend. Break-even of 136. So could potentially drop a little bit more cash. SuperCoach Plus there has him dropping another 10.7k. But going by his previous times he's played the Cats, 120, 102, 118. So a bit of a mixed bag there, but yeah, you could probably afford to wait a week potentially. Then faces the Saints, albeit at Adelaide Oval. So a bit of a easier matchup on his home turf there. But some tougher matchups to come. But I think, nonetheless, you've got to have him in your side. He is someone who is going to punch out bulk scores from week to week. So look to bring him in at some stage. I'll get back to that question as well, Harry, in terms of cash generation, because a few more people have started to stream in. So thanks for joining us. If it is your first time, of course, if you can give us a like, give us a subscribe as well, that'd be awesome. We're trying to hit the 1K subscriber mark, and we're slowly getting there. And we want to give it to the man. We want to get a big dog up YouTube, because I feel as though they're trying to like edge us towards, you know, not YouTube Red, YouTube Premium. Sorry, I almost called it something completely different, which goes into X-rated territory there, and it's by the name of RedTube. But I think they're actually called RedTube. Anyway, I'll put my foot in it, so I'll stop with that. But yeah, if you can help us in terms of subscribing, that would be absolutely awesome. Check out the rest of our content as well. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. If you like what you see, or if there's anything you want us to delve into as well outside of our usual weekly episodes that we do, and of course the team talk episodes, which gives you a bit of a greater insight into, I guess, the strategies that we talk about from week to week and how I apply those strategies to my own team. So it gives you a bit of a bit of an insight into how it works, and it's working so far because, as I said, I cut my rank in half to now sit just a touch under 7K, and going from strength to strength. And look at the team, looking chef's kiss. Moving on to, I'll get back just to that question in general about cash generation very shortly. But Matt, you've said, is setters a must trade out at the moment? At the moment, you're thinking of Liam Jones to Chin Cotter, which is a big thumbs up, and Fergus Green to Cogs, which is another thumbs up as well. Fergus Green, his cash gen is going to pretty much come to a halt now because he's obviously scored that 28 on the weekend. Albeit, I think, keep in mind as well with these guys that you think you're trading out, how they fit in with your buy structures. I'm thinking of keeping Green because of the fact that he plays round 15, which is the one buy round which is going to hurt me the most. I think at the moment I'm teetering around about 15 or 16 players, so I do need to try and keep as many of those round 15 playing players in my team. Otherwise, I'm going to be down a few more players. So keep that in mind with guys that you're trading at and guys that you're trading in as well, which you can do. A lot of you people would obviously know this. You people, what do you mean by you people? Bit of a me, myself, and Irene reference there. But you just click on show buys and then click on this and you'll see it grays out the players that aren't playing. But just back to Fergus Green, yes, he is someone that you could potentially punt because it's contingent upon him scoring around about the 60 mark to really kickstart his cash gen, which he could do potentially over the next couple of weeks. So he's not a must trade, but he has made us, sorry, I've just clicked out of him prematurely. He has made us 160.9k, so much more than what I think we're all expecting. So he's done pretty well by that standard. So both of those are very good trades. And I think Cogs as well, he was probably one to jump on last week. He went up 27.7k, but still pure value. His break-even's 57, and he's going to go up potentially another 20k or thereabouts. And he's hit his straps again in good form. So yeah, love both of those trades. Matt, Freeze, damn, your team is looking good. Yeah, thanks, mate. It's shaping nicely. It's, you know, if you count the number of keepers, I guess, on each line, I've kind of strategized. Again, this is probably the reason why you should probably look at that team talk episode in isolation, because it gives you an insight into what I've tried to do from the get-go, and it's sort of strengthened my team across the field, whereas previous years, and this is kind of a bit of a different tactic where I've tried to, yeah, again, spread the strength across the field, where in previous seasons, I've kind of concentrated on one area of the field and there's been a deficit in another area of the field. So like there's 5 keepers there in defense. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keepers in the midfield. There's at least, I'm going to count Darcy as a keeper at the moment and potentially Marshall. So I'll say 1.5. So there's 1.5 there. And then up forward, we've got Taranto, Dunks, Rosie, Cogs. Sheasel, I'm going to count as a keeper because he only had that 1 week where he scored below 100. So I'm going to count him as a keeper. So we've also got 5 keepers there and a really strong rookie in Chandler and the likes of Green and Ryan. And Ryan as well, who, if Darcy's out, I can easily switch Ryan into the R3 position and then use him as an emergency on for Darcy, which I might even do prematurely just in anticipation if that happens, and then might even use Madden as a bit of a loophole option because the Giants play middle of the round after oh no, it's not going to work. Oh yeah, it will work. Sorry, I could potentially loop on a Chandler, or I could, and it wouldn't work for Fergus Green because he's playing later on. But I could potentially use it to loop on Chandler and put Chandler on the bench. But yeah, in short, my team is looking schmick, so I'm happy with that. G'day, Global Champion Intern. How are you, mate? Thanks for joining us. Lordy, you've said Laird or Clary. Clary has a 150 break even and can get him next week. Yeah, he's a bit of an interesting one. I think he's someone that I probably would have opted to wait for had I not looked at the fixture, because he is playing the Suns this weekend, who he scores I think it's the second best team he scores against behind Adelaide. Yeah, Adelaide, as you will remember, he scored consecutive 200 plus scores previously. But Gold Coast equally as well, like in 8 encounters, averages a 131.6. And plus 3, 106, 166, and 121. So I think there is a potential there that he could not smash the break even, or he could, I guess, but like reach the break even, and means that he's not going to drop in any more price. But having said that, it is high enough that even if he goes a little bit over that break even, he's not going to go up too much in rank this weekend. So yeah, in short, you could potentially wait, and there is a chance there that he does have a bit of a downer. And I mean, SuperCoach Plus, you'll see there, they have him dropping 7.8k if he can, score 123. So that's the one thing that I'm keeping in mind, and the reason why I've brought him in this week, because it kind of coincided with Hopper. I had Hopper in my team. I'll just quickly show you the trades that I did. So Chin Cotter went out for Wilmot. Simpson went out for Philippou. Sorry, Simpson came in for Philippou, and Hopper went out for Oliver. So Hopper's another one you could keep a hold of, but his cash gen again was kind of, he shot himself in the foot with that 71 on the weekend, and he needs another big score to kickstart his cash generation, and he's made us over 100k. So, and he was always someone that I was earmarking to be a direct trade to Oliver. So, yeah, happy with that. But yeah, in short, I would say if you could go for, judging from what you've said there, if you can go for Laird this week and then Clary next week, that could be an option potentially. But again, he's got an equally as high break even as Clary with a 136, but a tougher opposition in Geelong. So I would probably go for, if you can afford to go for Oliver now, I'd go for Oliver this week, just on the potential that he could smash out a massive score. Whereas it's a tougher ask, first and foremost, with Laird against Geelong, but then Geelong in Geelong, it's a tough ask for him to have a bit of a breakout game. Sorry, my phone's just buzzed. Oh, it's SuperCoach. Letting me know that teams have dropped, which we'll get into very shortly as well. But first, Matt Mugford. Is Setterfield a... Sorry, did someone ask? Oh no, that was your question. Yeah, is Setterfield to a top premo defender or midfielder a better option to the Fergus Green to Cox trade? Thanks for your response anyway. No worries, man. I think that question really is dependent upon your team structure. I can't answer that for you without seeing your team. So feel free to drop your team name and I can have a quick look. But if it allows you to take a rookie off field by getting in a primo defender as opposed to a primo mid, I would look to do that, because end of the day, that's kind of what you have to keep in mind. If it means you're taking a rookie off field by bringing in a primo, in turn, that's the better option. Yeah, but I mean, the same thing applies to Cogs. If Cogs coming into your team means you're fielding one less rookie, that's good. But keeping in mind, I think the rookies, depending on who you have as well, in defence with Chin Cotter anyways and Seamus Mitchell are probably just as good as a Samson Ryan, using my team as an example, really, and a Fergus Green. So yeah, it comes down to that question, mate. But as I said, feel free to drop your team in the chat, and likewise for anyone else as well. Lordy, you said I have 300k in the bank and I've got the cash. As in got the cash for one of Laird or Clary? Kevin, okay, I'll quickly answer this question and then we'll quickly go through the teams as well, because I've yet to actually go through and digest them myself. Kev, g'day mate, thanks for joining us. Sinclair this week and Oliver next week. My thinking is Sinclair will go up in price after this week. That is correct. What do you think? And thank you. That is absolutely correct. I think if you've waited on Sinclair, you're lucky that he's actually relatively held his price. He's actually gone down 6k over the past couple of weeks, but he scored over a ton, which is good. But yeah, he faces North this weekend. So yeah, he scored 140 against them last year. Can't really count for 2021 and 2019 because he wasn't playing that quarterback defensive role really. So that's a good call. I'd be doing that first and foremost. And then yeah, if you can afford to bring in Oliver next week, for sure. It's much of a muchness, I think. As I said, Oliver's got a bit of a relatively soft matchup. Could go high, but so too could Sinclair against North. Lloydie, you said, Ed, what should I do with my team? Fill in the dumps. Team is Noah's strikers. All right, I'll have a look. And you said, yeah, one of them. Okay. That's a little bit harder to differentiate, I think, if you're choosing between either Laird or Clurry, because their form line's pretty much swapped. I think Laird's come good, albeit on the weekend he was hampered still by the calf tightness, so he was managed somewhat in game. Whereas Clurry's had a bit of a downer by his standards, but yeah, bounced back on the weekend with that 134. So I mean, they're a similar price point now, so you could probably go for either. I think end of the day, you've got to try and get both of those guys in your team, and they've both got a relatively high break-even similar to each other. So in short, I'd be looking at their fixture. And as I said, Clurry's got a favourable matchup over the next 2 weeks with Gold Coast, and then with Hawthorn as well. So I'd probably be going for Clurry if you can afford it, and then waiting on Laird and getting him in as sort of your next priority target. All right, before I jump into both your teams, Lordy and Matt, I'll just quickly, whilst I'm here, I'll just switch across to the teams, and I'll just do another little bit of a retweet on Twitter as we're waiting, so people can jump in if they haven't seen the tweet. Just make sure that went up properly. I can't speak at the moment. Need some water. I haven't got any water. Actually, I do. I'm an idiot. Alrighty. So let's jump over to the teams very quickly. Okay. So the teams. Let's jump back up to the top. And yeah, feel free as I'm going through these as well to throw any questions out there. Any questions with regards to lineups, trade-in options, and yeah, all that sort of stuff, all that good stuff, or anything with regards to my own team, strategies, all that sort of stuff. Happy to do so, help out where I can. Alrighty, so let's have a look here. So in terms of ins and outs for my mob tomorrow night against the Brizzy Lions, Zachy Fisher, and that's no surprise here as a Carlton man. For any other Carlton supporters out there, I've actually been calling for him to have a bit of a rest because he's had a few bad turnovers, but that's much of a muchness. Matty Kennedy, I think, might still be a sub. Could potentially. And so too could Zachy Fisher. Lockie Cowan is named as an emergency again for those of us who still own him. He could potentially be a sub, but we'll find out in the lead up to tomorrow night's game. In terms of the Lions, they lose, of course, Zorko and Rich. I don't think many people would be owning those, so not really SuperCoach relevant. Harry Sharp comes in for the Lions. Outside of that, no real SuperCoach relevant news there. Moving on to the next game, Cats and the Crows. Out goes DeConning, Bose, who was injured, and Rowan. They're all injured, actually. Zach Tui comes back in, who was a late out, and Segler as well. I feel sorry for Segler because he hasn't really had much of a go at the Cats since coming from the Hawks. I know he's been injured, but still. For the Crows, unchanged apart from the sub, which could again... oh no, can't be Schoenberg because he's an emergency. But that there is pretty straightforward. All good so far. Gold Coast and Melbourne. So Petty comes back into the side. Shaki omitted after one game, poor bloke. And Harms as the sub. For Gold Coast, Casbolt comes back in. Flanders, stupid sexy Flanders, stupid unsexy Flanders, because he was in my side. He was a starter and absolutely putrid. So not touching him again, but you watch him have a bit of a breakout now that he's on my team. And Thomas Berry, another rookie, finally into Gold Coast's team. Don't go early on these rookies either. The cardinal sin is jumping on guys before they've played a game. And that probably applies to my father-in-law, who, Liam and I's both combined father-in-law. You would have heard us. He's in our Patreon league. He actually went early on Chincotta before he played a game, but worked out for him. But doesn't always be the case. So I wouldn't be looking to bring him in just yet, but he is bargain basement price from memory or thereabouts. So should be pretty good. Lockie Weller goes out injured. And Holman, Ainsworth, Sexton. For those of you out there, I think Will Powell is one that's been spoken about. We didn't touch on him in our weekly episode heading into round 8 this week, but it does mean that there's a bit more potential for scoring for him with Lockie Weller's out. Likewise as well, where is he? Rory Atkins. He's been playing in defence over the first game back, really. Scored an 80 odd. I wouldn't be getting him in this week. Just keep a close eye on him because I'm banking on him. If he plays in defence again and scores well, he's round about the 200k mark. He is still pretty expensive, but yeah, he's someone that I can't trust. He hasn't played many games since crossing from Adelaide. He's been a bit of a, scooping up the cash, going to Gold Coast and not returning any dividends for Gold Coast. So wait and see on him. Chandler's obviously still on the side, relevant. Don't trade him in. Don't trade him out. He's got a bit more cash to make. Maxi Gawn as well, as we can see there, favourable. This is a starting ruck, and Brody's actually up for Brody Gundy. Interesting. That's that. Moving on to the Giants and Dogs. Callum Ward comes back in. Peatling omitted. Rouston as the sub, for those of you who still have him on your bench. Angwin still keeps his spot on the side, and the starting 18, not just the starting 22. So that's promising. For those of you looking to bring in a rookie, let me just have a quick swig of this. It's dry as a nud's nasty, as they say. Ryan Gardner and Oliba coming back into the side. McNeil, Tim O'Brien and McLean. McLean, another one. He's like gone from like chocolates to boiled lollies, this bloke. Hasn't been much of an option that we thought he would be anyway as a cash cow. No real things to talk about there. Freo, and I can see questions coming in, so feel free to keep them streaming through, and we'll delve into those very, very shortly. Freo and Hawthorn, Tracy and Frederick come into the side. As I said earlier, suspension for Matty Johnson. For those of you who have him, which is pretty much all of us, keep hold of him. He's still got cash to make. I think he will come back into Freo's side after he has served his suspension. Unfortunate for those of you who brought in Sam Stewart, he's been omitted, so wouldn't have made you much cash. And Will Brodie, he's fallen off the wagon. He's almost back to where he was when he was at the Suns, in and out of the side. So disappointing there for him. Conor McDonald and Lloyd Meek come into the side to really help combat the big ho-da-do, aka Shrek, aka what's his actual name? Sean Darcy. Been calling him Hodor for that long, I actually forget his name. Giants goes out of the side. Bruce and Max Ramsden, who made his debut last week, goes out of the side. Good to see Seamus Mitchell, who unfortunately was subbed. I think it was in the third quarter, might have been early in the fourth. And I had him on field, and didn't work out well. Scored a 41 or thereabouts, so thanks for that. Mackenzie could be a sub for those of you who still have him, but that's that. Moving on to the next game, Sunday games here, Port and Essendon. Francis Evans plays his first game, potentially, for Port, maybe. I don't know. Todd Marshall makes his return from concussion. Tom Jonas, Trent Dumont, Alwyn Davey Jr. And again, these are extended squads as well. So Davey Jr. comes back in. Dyson Heppel, Jai Menzies and Zach Reed. Durham goes out through suspension. Alwyn Davies named on field in the starting 18, so he should play off the back of that, but no guarantee. But rule of thumb is they should. Bryn Teakle, again, he's named in the starting 18. I know a few people have been looking at him, but I will say with Bryn Teakle, I was actually considering him as well, and did a bit of research into Big Footy on the Port forum, and I reckon every second post was saying there was a thread looking at changes for round 8 for the team, and every second post was calling for Teakle to be dropped. So that doesn't fill me with confidence. So I've actually looked elsewhere now in the form of Sam Simpson. So yeah, I mean, if you want to take that risk, potentially go for it. I mean, it worked out with those of you who went for the risk with Dylan Williams, went out of the side, came back in, scored well enough on the weekend from memory. But yeah, he's someone that doesn't fill me with confidence. And I've already got right cover in the form of Samson Ryan. So don't necessarily need to get him in, but for those of you who have Darcy, he obviously presents as someone that you could switch you know, if you've got Marshall as an R3 and you've got Fergus Green, for example, as a traded option, switch Marshall into the forward line. Sorry, Marshall. What's his name? Madden, sorry. Madden in your R3, switch him to the forward line, and then trade Fergus Green to Teakle, and then Teakle is your emergency, could sub on for Darcy if he is an out. But yeah, who knows if he's going to survive beyond this week. But yeah, that's that. Moving on to the next game, Collingwood and Sydney. Finlay McRae may get an opportunity, but I have a sneaking suspicion off the back of that win last week they may go in unchanged. But having said that, it was a taxing game from what it looked like against the Crows, with the win at the death. Pendles comes back in, should play. Mason Cox named on the bench, no guarantee. Harvey Harrison, another one, no guarantee. And Finlay McRae, no guarantee. So I think Mason Cox is probably, like for like in terms of Nathan Kruger, who was mooted to play a bit of the ruck and give Billy Frampton a chop out. So I think Coxie will play this weekend, and so should Pendles. For the Swans, Corey Warner comes back into the side. Dylan Stevens omitted. So another potential cash cow here, but no guarantee that he makes the team. On the extended bench, Justin McInerney, Lockie McAndrew as a bit of a extra ruck option, potentially. But yeah, I don't know if they need another tall option. Looking from afar at the team sheet, and Robbie Fox as well. And then through to the last game of the round, and we have North up against St Kilda. A few changes here, and a couple of notable ones. So Comben goes out injured with that sickening broken, I think it was broken ankle, but looked like a broken leg, but lucky for him it wasn't, so it means that he will make a quicker return. Coleman Jones injured. Powell goes out injured as well. LDU comes back into the side for those of you who did hold him. For those of you who are a regular listener or a watcher of our podcast/vodcast on audio podcast, or of course on YouTube, and my team talk, you would have seen that I traded out LDU for Walshy. Do I regret it? No, because it means that I've brought in a genuine premo in Walshy. And a pod one of that, I think it was only about 5% of teams heading into the round last weekend. And LDU might still come good, but I mean, he's had a couple of issues now with foot-related injuries, so I'm not going to take that risk, especially later on in the season when it comes to league finals. And yeah, I mean, most importantly, if you're in the running and you find that LDU is going to be a late out like he was early days, that will absolutely scuttle your team. So don't want that. So I traded him. But on to the rest of the ins. Bergman, potentially, Mahoney, Perez, Lazaro. But this guy here, Blake Drury, playing his first game, has been confirmed to play his first game. Is named on field as well, is he? Where is he? Oh, centre half back, okay. So he's named in the starting 18, so he should keep his spot. North socials have announced him as a debutant as well. So he is someone to look at. He is bargain basement option, 102k. Again, don't bring him into your team until you see that he's on the bubble. Off the back of one game, you maybe be able to do it if you at a pinch, because again, cash generation is running a bit dry at the moment. But again, if you can hold out, because as we've seen, especially with the likes of Phillips, Will Phillips, he's been in and out of the side. So for those of you who brought him into your team would know first and foremost what it's like to be a North youngster. So there's no guarantee he's going to play or keep his spot in the side beyond this week. Looking at St Kilda, Cooper Sharman, Bytel, and Tom Campbell potentially into the team, but of course a extended lineup. So that is that. That's how the teams look at the moment. So I'll flick back across to my team. Just keep it there as a bit of a holder for anyone that wants to look at my team or have any questions about my team, strategies, all that sort of stuff. Have a bit of a swig. Let's move back. So Matt Mugford, you said... okay, we'll look at your team first, Matt Mugford. Haha, boogle me, if that helps. Okay. I can't find you, mate. Oh, wait, I can. Sorry, I didn't type it in correctly. Having an absolute mare tonight. Google me. So, you're looking at, is Setterfield the top primo defender? Setterfield to a top primo defender or midfielder better option compared to Fergus Green and Cogs? So you got Dawson, Dakes, Sis, Sinks, Zeeble. Geez, yeah, defense is looking pretty strong, man. So you've only got really Jones in defense, / Cowan / Seamus. So your defense is looking pretty stacked. So I probably wouldn't go for another primo at this stage. I don't know who you'd be going for because you kind of got the two guys that are trading options this week in Sicily and Sinclair. So let me know who you were thinking of, Matt. Wait, I've lost the bloody. Yeah, so I don't know who you'd be going for, Matt. So I wouldn't worry about getting in a primo defender. Looking at your midfield just quickly. So you got Bont, Oliver, Anderson, who's come pretty good at the moment. So I'll count him. Green. So you got 4 primos, a mid-pricer in Setters and Ashcroft as a rookie, as well as Hollands and Wilmot. It's looking relatively strong in terms of you got four primos there, so not too bad. You could potentially get another primo if you wanted to, maybe a Laird or someone. But I reckon your forward line probably needs a little bit of work from just guessing. Taranto, Dunkley, Rosie, Sheasel. And then Chandler and Green, Van Ruin. Yeah, I would bring in Cogs, man, in your situation, because it takes Green off field, and it means that Chandler, you'd be in a similar position to me, really, where you only have to field one rookie in Chandler who's pretty strong. So yeah, in short, I'd be looking to either bring in Cogs, who's like still good value, or another primo in the midfield. But I mean, you could potentially wait for that. Alrighty, moving on to the next, but good team, man. It's shaping up nicely. So Noah strikers, Lordy. Okay. And you've asked, where are we? 300k in the bank. Okay. Yours is just with regards to Laird and Clary. So yeah, man, I think I've already answered yours. I'd go for Clary first and foremost, just due to the fact that he's playing Gold Coast and Hawks over the next couple of weeks and could go bananas and really kickstart, I mean, not cash generation, but could sort of put his price range out of reach like he has at the start of the year. But yeah, Dawson, Dacos, Sinclair, Day, Sheasel, you got 5 keepers there, and then the 2 rookies, Wilmot and Cowan. Yep, looking pretty good. Bond, LDU, I'll count as a keeper at the moment. Tom Green, Rosie, Tom Mitchell, jury's still out potentially. I'll count him for now. I'll say 0.5. Goulden, I still think he's a keeper. So that's 5.5. Geez, your midfield's looking pretty stacked, man, in terms of keepers and mid prices. And I imagine you've got Marshall and Darcy in the ruck, so that's pretty good. Yeah, your forward line needs some work, man. Taranto, Dunks, Radaglia, Fergus Green, Van Ruin, and then, Mitchell and a Davey and Roberts. Yeah, I'd be targeting a forward or at least a midfielder and switching Goulden or a Rosie into the forward line if you can. So yeah, in that case, with your team, Noah strikers, bring Clary in and then switch either Rosie or Goulden into the forward line, and it takes one of those pus rookies off field. And use Roberts potentially if you can as a bit of a loophole option to loop in a score of a Van Ruin, Mitchell, one of those guys. Moving on, where are we? Global, you said I'm locked in on Powell this week. Yeah, he's definitely a pod. He's someone that I I can see appeal in, but personally, I don't see him as a keeper at this stage. I mean, I've already got a lot of us already have Dake, Stewart, Sinclair, Sicily, Zeeble, Sheasel. So I don't see how he fits in. But to his credit, he scored pretty well over the past couple of weeks, albeit against pretty easy opposition. I mean, they beat Richmond, they beat North. So the correlation there is that he scored well both in wins. And he hasn't scored too well against tougher opponents. I mean, he did against St Kilda, Geelong, he didn't. And he's got a tough opponent against, in Melbourne this weekend, a softer one against West Coast, and then tougher again, Brisbane and the Dogs. So I'm not entirely convinced, but I mean, he's a pod. He's a super pod. He's only in 0% of teams. He's in 297 teams. So the adverse to that is the fact that he's a super pod to the point where if he scores shit, he's going to hurt you heaps. He's only going to affect, at the moment, 297 teams, but that's obviously going to go up. But you're going to be in the minority where you're going to be impacted more if he puts in a bad score. But again, conversely, if he puts in a really good score, it could catapult you ahead of the rest of the pack, albeit if he outscores, the other, I guess, popular primos in Sinclair, Stewart, Dakes, and Jay-Z. I think in terms of the other keepers, I think Sicily is definitely one there that I haven't got in my own team, and a Dawson. So I can't see Powell fitting in as a keeper status in defence, given that. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. TK Mac, I'll keep on moving on. Adamo, team is looking good. In my team? Well, thanks, mate. Are your current VC and C what you're looking at keeping for this weekend? Yes, I am. Yes, that's a bit of an insight there into the way that I'm looking. So traditionally, the guy that I'm most confident in is the guy that I will have as my VC, which is Clary. And because the point being is a lot of people would put the VC on someone else and then the C on Clary, which is fair enough because they're the most confident in him. But what it does allow you to do is, because a lot of people would be putting the C on Clary, if he does have a down game, it means that because you've got the VC on him, it means that you can opt to put the captaincy obviously on someone else, and they're locked in. If Clary has a 100 score, for example, they're locked in obviously on that 100 score, where I have a chance to use it as a bit of a point of difference in locking in, or going for potentially a Bond who I think could score well against the Giants. He's projected for a 134 via SuperCoach Plus, and he scored 127, 120, and 100 in his past 3 games against the Giants. So nothing to really write home about, but I think there's potential for him to have a bit of a nice game. And I think with Laird, I mean, traditionally I would probably go for Laird as the VC and then Oliver as the C. Relatively tight turnaround between games there. It's a 2 hour and 25 minutes. So the game should be done, potentially, or at least be in the back end of quarter 4, where you can assess, okay, do I lock in Laird's score as VC if you want to go for Laird as VC, or do I opt for Clary as the C? I think, yeah, I'm happy enough to back in Laird as Oliver as the VC, because I am also worried that if Laird does punch out 125 plus score, or 125, that's kind of the benchmark, and I lock that in, and if Clary goes bananas against Gold Coast and scores 150, I'm going to sort of shoot myself in the foot there. But that's the risk you take, and that's kind of the strategy that I've gone through there, TK Max. So hopefully that gives a bit of an idea into my mindset. Kev, you've said, can you please give your trading order for the following players: Sinclair, Steele, and Oliver. Again, there's a caveat here. It comes down to how much money you've got in the bank. Again, as I always say, it comes down to the strength of your lineup in particular spots, so in defence, midfield, ruck, and forward. But the rule of thumb is if bringing in a certain player allows you to take a rookie off field, that kind of pushes that option to the forefront, first and foremost. Then you look at strategy in terms of their strength of opposition coming up. So Oliver, as I said, faces Gold Coast and then Hawthorn. So poultry opposition should go bananas. Sinclair, easy opposition this weekend. Should go up in cash as well. So he's one to look at, definitely. Faces north. And then Steele, again, faces north. So, yeah, again, to separate these guys, it probably comes down to, as I said, the strength of that area of the ground that you're considering the premo as a trading option. Yeah, I mean, Steele does pretty well against North, traditionally anyway. So it's hard for me to say, but I would say if you can go for Clary, spend the cash on him first and foremost, which is what I'm doing because I could easily get in Steele, but I'm going to go for Clary just because I think he could potentially go bananas, and it's points on field that counts for more as opposed to cash generation or their price point. So I'd go Oliver, then I'd go. I mean, Sinclair hasn't gone really bananas traditionally across the course of the year so far, apart from round 2 against the Dogs, maybe round 4 against Gold Coast if you want to count that. So he hasn't really hit his ceiling as such. So I'd probably go in order of Oliver, Steele, and Sinclair. So hopefully that helps, mate. Okay, Lucas, you've said Angwin or Simpson. Don't like both, but had to go a week early on Chincotta. Chincotta's fine anyway. Like everyone's bringing him in this week. Angwin or Simpson. So I would go for. Well, I've personally gone for Simpson. He's been in the system since 2017. He's a mature age player. He's been held back by injury and opportunity as well. Stengel's out of the side injured. What's his name? The recruit from the Giants, Bowes, sorry. He's out injured as well, so that really shores up his job security, at least in the short term. I think Stengel's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks potentially. So at least he's going to make some cash over the next 3 weeks, which if he can score around about the 60, I think that's an average of 61, 62 over the next 3 weeks, he'll go up to the tune of 100k. So I'd be going for him first and foremost. Opposition-wise, it's much of a muchness. He's playing a home game this weekend, GMHBA, then at the G, not too bad, and then away at Optus Stadium. So I'd be going for him. Angwin, even though he's named in the first starting 18, I would be wary about his spot still. Looking at his SuperCoach numbers in and fantasy as well in his junior years, hasn't traditionally scored well. He's playing a wing role, which, as we know, is sort of contingent upon opposition and how much ball they're getting, kicking from defence through the wing. If they're not dominating, or if they're getting absolutely towelled up the opposition, it does affect the wing role and the output of that play in that role. So I would be going for Simpson if you can. Also, the fact that he's got DPP as well helps. So you can switch him out. You could use someone like where do the Cats play in terms of? Yeah, so you could use Roberts as a bit of a. So you could bring, I wouldn't be doing this, but potentially use Simpson as the emergency off the bench, put Roberts on field, and then if Simpson scores well, leave Roberts there. If he doesn't, it's not going to work with Ashcroft because he plays the first game. But if it's safe, it's another player. Simpson scores like shit, then you can put that player back on field again. So yeah, that's the other option, which it affords you as well. Where are we? Lucas. Oh, wait, sorry, I've lost. Where are we? So Matt, yeah, you've said McKenna, Hopper, and Pooh out this week for Chincotta. Yep, which is good. Downgrade, Steele, upgrade. Yep, and the pink sweaty pig. Yeah, I like it, mate. It gives you 2 primos or keepers in Steele and the pink sweaty pig. Absolutely, like licking chops for that. Absolutely, I can smell it. Can you smell it? You got to bring him in. If you can smell that scent, which at the moment should be high, I mean, because of that price point and opposition he's facing the next 2 weeks, I'm salivating, absolutely salivating. But McKenna, the one thing about him as well is I wouldn't be so quick if you can trade out someone like a Fergus Green ahead of McKenna. I would probably opt to do that, just because Rich is out of the team and Zorko is out of the team. So they're 2 main. I mean, Rich is the main distributor coming out of defence, but McKenna, when he played when Rich wasn't there, I think he scored. It was around about a 90 odd or thereabouts, 86 I think it was round 4. Round 3 and 4, Rich didn't play. I think that was it. And round 4, he scored 86. So I think there's potential there for him to score quite well without Rich there. Break even's 48, so still decent enough for him to make some more bank. So if I still had McKenna, I'd be keeping him, in all honesty. But again, if it affords you, if you don't have any other options to trade out in his place, and it affords you to bring in a Steele and Pig Sweaty Pig, lock it in. Absolutely lock it in. Matt Mugford, thanks for joining us, mate. Oh wait, sorry, that's the same Matt. I'm getting Matt confused here. So you've said Liam Jones to Chincotta and Fergus to Cogs. Yeah, instinct. Yeah, I'd back that in, mate. Yeah, your gut's leading you in the right direction, I reckon. Lucas, you've asked about Angwin or Simpson, and I've just answered that just before. Go for Simpson if it were me, which is what I'm doing. Could you search my team up and have a quick look at it? Son of Draper is my name. I sure can, mate. Just quickly, and I will jump back into the questions as a few people have left them there. So you've got in terms of keepers, Dake, Stewart, Day, Zeeble, which is good. McKenna, as I said, yeah, keep hold of him if you can. If not, if it affords you a genuine keeper, yeah, you can trade him out. But you've got 4 keepers there on defence. In the midfield, yeah, you've got Bont, Oliver, Laird, looking good. Taranto, looking good. Green, 5. Hopper, and yeah, Warple as well. Again, making your cash. Could use as a stepping stone. Looking pretty strong there. You've got Ashcroft and Baker as well, making your cash. You've got English and Marshall. That's good. 2 keepers there. Dunks, Rosie, Cogs, Gould, and Sheasel. You got 5 keepers out of 6. So very, very strong there as well. So looking pretty. Oh, look at your overall rank, of course. You are going great guns, mate. So keep doing what you're doing. You're going very, very well. So congratulations so far. Hopefully I can catch up with you after this weekend. George Costanza. Just quickly, guys. I'll wrap this up in about 13 minutes time when it hits 8 o'clock because I've got to head out catching up with a mate. George Costanza. G'day, Georgie. Good old Costanza. You've said team is doing well, ranked 1500 odd. Nice work. Bringing in Chincotta as everyone else is. Yep. Would you correct some other rookies on the bench and bring in Samson and Angwin? Team name is Tanty's Hot Shots. Cheers. Again, probably comes down to how you team. Tanty's Hot Shots. Can't find that, mate. Is that one word? No. It's not coming up for some reason. Sorry, mate. No, it's not coming up. I'll take your word for it, mate. But yeah, I think I'm always more of a fan of, like, as I've used my boosts, I've gone the 2 down, 1 up. If you can do that. But I mean, you've already bring in Chincotta. I wouldn't be using 3 trades to bring in 3 rookies. Instinct is always to try and improve your team whilst, improving or correcting those cash cows, cashing in those cash cows virtually. So I wouldn't be using 3 trades, like the 2 plus the boost, in order to bring in 3 rookies. I would bring in Chincotta, yes, absolutely. And I would choose between Simpson and Angwin. If going for Angwin affords you a top line keeper, go down that route. If you can afford to bring in Simpson while still bringing in a keeper, in the range of like a Steele or someone, then yeah, I'd do that as well. But yeah, hopefully that helps. If there's guys there, like you'll see there, I'm carrying Roberts, I'm carrying Johnson, I'm carrying Constable. These guys I'm trying to use as a bit of a loophole option as well from week to week, depending on if I can use them, depending on when their team is playing in the fixture, as a later game, that is. So yeah, don't get rid of them. I think try and bring in guys that are on the bubble still, like a Chincotta and good rookies. But I think outside of Chincotta, Simpson, he's probably the only other one I'd gamble on. But we've seen Drury's going to make his debut this weekend. What's his name? Tom Berry for the Suns. So there's a few more cash cows that are coming up on the horizons as well. So I wouldn't be shooting yourself in the foot and potentially bringing in an Angwin who could get dropped potentially over the next couple of weeks. Lordy, you've said I've got put Goulden and Rosie forward with which will leave me with them two in Toronto, Dunkley, Van Ruin, and Richmond yet. Mitchell sounds good. If I muted it as now, Clary, Mitchell, Bont, LDU, Green, Hopper, Ashcroft, Chincotta. Don't trust Phil. Yeah, don't trust Philippou. Yeah, I was actually. Did he get dropped? He did, didn't he? He didn't. Well, I'm surprised. Oh, well, actually, it's a Sunday game. I'm surprised he's in the starting 18, so he might keep his spot. But he looked lethargic, like not just the weekend, but the week before that against my mob. He's due for a rest. So if you're holding him, get rid of him first and foremost out of rookies to cash in for sure. Azar, you've said, mate, I've got setters and LDU, and thanks for joining us as well. And I can only trade one. Can't decide which to trade. Well, LDU is playing this week, so I wouldn't be trading him if you held him last week. Just back him in. Trade setters because he's going to be bleeding a little bit of cash. CBAs have dropped as well. At the moment, I've downgraded Fergus Green to Chincotta. Yep, that's good. Traded LDU to Steele. I imagine that's left over some cash for you. So 560. Yeah, you could pretty much do the direct trade if you wanted to go LDU to Steele. Keep LDU, mate, and then I would be trading setters to Steele. Because setter field, he's already dropped 16.1k, break even's 117, projected score of 78, could drop another close to 20k, and his past couple of weeks have been putrid. Just quickly, I'll show you CBAs. And if you haven't used DFS Australia, get on it. It's a Ripper website. So CBAs for the Dons. So they went back up again on the weekend, but against the Pies, it was a little bit alarming. Mind you, Merritt only had 38% CBAs, which is interesting. He was eased back into the game after that suspension. So someone's going to have to lose CBAs here. I mean, Jakey Stringer got 80%, which is bananas. He might lose some, but I think, and by the same token as well, Shield only had 20%. So again, someone's going to have to lose CBAs in order to top up these guys here. So I reckon Setterfield, again, could drop down to this point here. I don't think he's going to go up anymore, to what he was in the first two rounds. So cash him in short, mate. He's going to keep bleeding cash. And without CBAs, he's going to lose that opportunity to score bulk points. Double dummy, does a cold, wet Canberra make you nervous regarding a Dogs captain, Bont or English, or are they better in the wet? I think Bont, it doesn't really affect him too much. I mean, even though he is a tall player, obviously, he can play tall or small, and he can still get nice points through knock-ons, all that sort of stuff. Wet weather footy, tackles as well. He absolutely loves and pigs it up. Channels his inner Clary Oliver, the pink sweaty pig. I can't think of any, but you'll see there, like, tackling is kind of a part of his game that he loves and where he thrives. So with wet weather footy comes more tackling. And yeah, he's gone bananas regardless, like over the past few weeks. So happy enough. All these scores here are captaincy worthy scores. So happy enough to lock it in against the Giants, especially. English is probably, again, wet weather footy. It means there's going to be more stoppages, more ruck contests. So it will affect him. I think there's a taller player around the ground, but I think in ruck contests, it means that he's got potential there to have more hit-outs to advantage, especially against Flynn, who isn't the best ruckman. Freeze FC, your analysis, VC on Pig is brilliant, but if you didn't have the Pig, would you VC Stewart? Yeah, good point. I mean, yeah, you can see there, Stewart's projected for a 146, break even to 114 against the Crows. He scored a 117, 113, and 174. That's probably part of the reason why SuperCoach Plus has him projected for that score, because it goes largely on how they performed in their most recent game against them. But I mean, yeah, the only game that he's gone super large in is against Gold Coast, poultry opposition there. I think it'll be a tougher game against the Crows. There has been, as we know, Keys had a bit of a role on Dacos, Nick Dacos on the weekend, had a pretty good effect. But again, taller player, very different playing role and whatnot to Tom Stewart to Nick Dacos. So I don't think Keys is really much of a matchup in that sense. He's going to be getting GMHBA. He loves playing at. Just with regards to intercept marking and just picking it up with transitions out of defence. So yeah, he's an option. He's an option. I don't mind him as a VC option for sure. Wouldn't put the captaincy on him, that's for sure. As a LDU breakdown is shocking too. That's why I'm worried. Oh, sorry, break even is shocking too. That's why I'm worried. His past 3 games have been a nightmare to watch. I see your point there, man. I see your point, but again, there's still a potential there. There it could come good. I mean, yes, he's probably going to lose cash. The main thing is, like, he scored shit against the Suns was because he only played 83. And I touched on this, Liam and I both touched on this in the episode last week, our full podcast episode there. And he only played 83 minutes where he's averaging, 105 or thereabouts, roughly, in the previous 4 games that he played. So he probably should have scored around about 90 odd again, which again is under par for what his price point is. But yeah, he's not racking up the numbers that he was early on. So yeah, I guess, if it does afford you a premo, maybe look into it, consider it. Yeah, I can see your point there. I can see your point, that's for sure. Corey, hold one of Setters or Grundy, as I want to get one of Cowan or Caminiti out with Green, or trade both and have a crap bench. Yeah, so hold Setters or Grundy. I would be trading. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, Grundy is someone that you probably need to get rid of as well. He doesn't score well with Gawn on the team. I mean, you can see there. Gawn got injured. There's, a minute into the game there, but he played with Gawn round 1, played with Gawn over the past couple as well, and hasn't scored well. So there's a correlation there. He just doesn't score well enough. And if he scores an 80 odd, he's gonna drop by about 30k. Setters again, CBAs is the big issue, putting a ceiling on his scoring. So if you've got a boost, Corey, I'd be looking to use that. Trade out Setters and Grundy, and potentially bring in. Yeah, 100% get Caminiti. Prioritise bringing Caminiti in before anything else, because he's the one cash cow on the horizon that's going to make us bulk cash. I mean, look at that. You can see there, negative break even of negative 97, and he's projected to go up 62.9k alone if he scores a 42. And he's averaging 77.5 thus far in his first 2 games. So prioritise him at all costs. And then outside of that, it depends who you bring in. Like Grundy, you could flip for a Gawn, or flip for an English. Setters you could bring in, depending on how much cash you've got as well, and who you're trading down to Caminiti as well. But yeah, prioritise Caminiti first and foremost, and then choose between a Grundy and Setters as an upgrade. If you've got a boost, I would recommend using that as well. If you want to get rid of Setters and Grundy in the one go, that'll help you. The Duke, g'day mate, thanks for joining us again. We'll wrap this up very, very shortly. Freeze FC, thanks for the feedback, Damo. All the best this week, right? Yeah, no worries, man. Anytime. You can hit us up as always on Twitter as well. Just search SuperCoach_Edge or myself at DamoJ88. As always as well, if you like what we're doing as well, if you can subscribe, that would be awesome. Thanks again. Sorry, Caminiti. I got confused with the Italian names here. I meant Cincotta. Sorry, apologies so much. Apologies there, Corey. I read that as Cincotta. But yes, Caminiti, you can potentially get out. I mean, he's not going to drop any more cash. Still suspended. Cowan. In that context, Caminiti yeah, if you need to trade someone out, yeah, you can potentially do that. Green may, as I said, may still hold his price over the next couple of weeks. And Cowan as well. Like, I'm keeping Cowan because of the fact that with him and Chimcotta, they're very much linked. So if Chimcotta doesn't play, chances are Cowan will play and vice versa. So it means that going forward, Cowan provides a little bit more security with the fact that if Chimcotta's out, as I said, then Cowan's going to come in. But yeah, that's tough, mate. It's tough because I don't know what your team is. So Freeze, anyway, thanks for tuning in, mate. Appreciate it. The Duke, can you take a look at my team? The Duke is its name. I think I had a look at a peek at your team last week, from memory. So I remember that name. You're going great guns, mate. You're ranked 1,853 overall. So Dake, Stewart, Sinks, Day, Zeeble, Sheasel. You got 6 keepers in defence. Well done, mate. Bont, Laird, Parrish, Green, Cogs, and then you got Hopper and Setters. You're in a good spot in terms of using those as stepping stones, both Hopper and Setters. Then you got Marshall and Grundy. Grundy's probably one to move on. Taranto, Dunks, Rosie, Goulden. Very good. Then you got Chandler and Ryan and Green and Roberts on the bench. Mate, you're in a ripping position. Really, really good position. I'll be looking to trade Grundy if you can and cashing in like a Fergus Green. Or even, yeah, I mean, you can use Setters as a stepping stone as well to get in potentially a Clary if you can. Yeah, Cash Gen's the name of the game at the moment. But, yeah, Chincotta, have you got him? Yeah, you've got him in midfield. Yeah, trade out Fergus Green if you can, cash him in, and use that bank to upgrade one of Setters or Grundy, I reckon. Double dummy. Are you 100% against Grundy to Teakle if it allows you to get Clary and Dawson next week for 2 rookies? Yes. I don't mind it. I actually don't mind that, but it is a risk somewhat because, as I said earlier, Teakle, if you go into Port's forum on Big Footy and look at the round changes thread, I mean, they are supporters, they're not match committee, obviously, but it gives an insight into, I guess, they're watching the games from week to week more than what I am, closely in terms of Port. And they've actually, a lot of them asked for him to be dropped, so he hasn't got a solidified role as a number 1 ruckman. I mean, Lysett went off with a bit of I think it was a corked hip or something, or a corked thigh on the weekend in the Sandful. So may find his way back into the side at some point. And then they've also got Sam Hayes as well. Sam Hayes, sorry, who could come back in. So that comes with a little bit of risk. But if you were going to do it, I'd be trying to upgrade to bring in Gawn if you could, say over the coming couple of weeks. But I don't mind it. It is a risk though, as I said. So I'd probably be targeting a Clary and then trading Grundy to a Gawn. That's what I'll be doing, and then targeting Dawson maybe over the coming weeks. Corey, you've said, and I might finish with you, mate, because we have ticked over 8 o'clock and I've got to scoot off. I was looking at Chincotta for Caminiti. Setters for either a value mid can get anyone pretty much. And Grundy to Marshall, as have English, or can go Gawn to. Yes. So yeah, Chincotta for Caminiti, it's 100%. Lock that in. Setters for either value mid. Depends who you go. If you can go for a steal, yeah, for sure. Again, if you can go for Oliver, yeah, go for him, Laird. And Grundy to Marshall. Marshall, I'm still a little bit unsure of. Gawn, I think, will be a keeper, whether it's in the ruck line or forward line once he gets DPP, forward eligibility, is really the question. But have 15 premiums is the problem. Cam Suvalaki is the team, so you can check who I should get. And Viciniti as well, who was playing as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about him. Viciniti for Port, so he is another one. So they're well stocked in the ruck. port. So yeah, I'd be worried about bringing in Teakle. Mind you, it could actually turn out to be a nice little sort of stepping stone / cash cow if you can keep your spot, but yeah, not for me. That's too much of a risk at this point in time for me. Okay, so back to your team just quickly, Corey. So Chincotta for Cameron Needy. Yep, so I assume you're going to have to do a switch with potentially like a Matt Roberts into the forward line or switching Sheasel into your forward line. Setters for value mid. Yeah, if you can get in the pink sweaty peak himself in Clary, I'd be looking at him. Jack Steele's another good one as well. A Grundy to Marshall. Do you have any boosts, Corey? If you do, as I said, be looking to do that. So then I'd be trading Grundy to, at this stage, I reckon I favour Gawn over Marshall. I think Gawn's hit he's kind of bottomed out now. Yeah, his break-even's 108. So I'd be looking to bring in Gawn. Good value. Dropped 120.3k, obviously. Good matchup next week as well against Hawks. And then another good matchup against Port Adelaide in Teakle. Potentially one of those youngsters if he is omitted. So yeah, I'd be going for Gawn. Grundy for Gawn. And then Cameron Needy to Chincotta, yes. And then if you can use a boost, go Setters to a Steele or Oliver. Yeah, go for Clary, Corey, if you want. Like I've used my last boost. I'm pretty happy to say that because it affords me Clary, and it's sort of the last piece of my puzzle really in terms of main keepers that I was aiming for at this stage. Now I'm trying to sort of build out around them, around the bonds. You know, Clary, Laird, Walshy, Taranto, Rosie, Dunks, all those guys. So yeah, I'd be looking to do that, Corey, and that would really strengthen your team nicely. Actually, I'll just round out the rest of your team because I didn't have a good look at it. Cam Sutalaki, there you go. So you got Dakes, Sard, Sheasel, McKenna. Yeah, you can keep hold of him, as I said. Seamus Mitchell. You got Dawson as well, yep. So you're in a good spot there. Bont, Laird, Merritt, Tom Green, Will Day, yep. Yeah, you're in a good spot, mate. Stepping stones nicely. Hopper, Setterfield. And it's good that you've already English as well. You don't have to be in that conundrum where you're like, oh, should I pay top dollar virtually in order to get him in? Taranto, Dunks, Rosie, Goulden, Chandler. Yep, he's good. And yeah, you're in a really good spot. I think you'll find with those inclusions of Oliver, Gawn, and Chincotta. Chincotta, I'm probably going to field. Actually, it's not really going to matter for me. Oh, no, it could work. I could swing a day into defence and then... Or I could even just go Constable to that and then loop him on. If Cowan doesn't play, then oh well. And then if he scores shit, I can swing that to that. And then do the loophole again with Simpson. And then I have forward mid eligibility DPP as well. But yeah, I think that would really strengthen your team, Corey. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much it, I think, from here on out. So hopefully you've enjoyed the breakdown of, as quick as it was probably more answering questions, which I'm always happy to do, of you guys and girls out there. But that's a bit of an insight into the teams as they fell, or as they were announced, heading into round 8. That's my team as it looks. As always, if you can follow us, if you can like us, that would be absolutely chef's kiss. As I said, we're trying to hit that 1K mark, which with it monetizes things and helps us as well. We've got a few ideas in mind in terms of releasing some merch, which you might see on our weekly episodes. I've worn this, which is part of giveaways that we kind of tried to do last year. Sorry, there we go. SuperCoach Edge t-shirts. We want to do a line of hats. All that sort of stuff, and use it as part of giveaways and more opportunity to open up cash leagues and all that sort of stuff for the next season as well. So that's why we're sort of heading towards that 1K mark. I mean, our podcast, our audio podcast is going great guns. We're averaging about 1.3K listens. So thanks to everyone that tunes in, and likewise on YouTube as well for our video vodcast version as well. Weekly episodes where you get more, I guess, interaction. You see the memes visually, all those sort of things as well. So be sure to like and subscribe. That does help us and lets us know, really. That's all we ask. If you like our content, that is amazing. And yeah, if you haven't already, check out our weekly episode. It went up on Tuesday evening. If you haven't done so already, of course, we go through the trades, the guys to target, guys to get rid of, captaincy, vice captains. We've broken down every single top option there. And then, of course, I've got Damo's Team Talk, which is my mini episode where I delve into this team right here in a bit more detail, talking through strategy, trades I was making, why I was making them this week, and what I'm planning to do post round 8, heading towards the buys as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Everyone there, Corey, Kevin, Matt ×2, the Duke. Yes, and Freeze FC merch, hoodies for sure. Like, that's probably one thing. I'm a big fan of hoodies. As you can see here, I'm wearing a hoodie. It's my go-to. Yeah, so we would be love to do that sort of stuff. So if you can help us with regards to that, because with a subscription, it means that we're a step closer to releasing that sort of stuff in merch. And yeah, cash prizes, giveaways, tickets, all that sort of stuff we'd love to do going forward to help build the brand and give back to the community who tune in, listen, and give us, I guess, the comfort of knowing that you enjoy our content. So thanks as always for tuning in. And as we always say, we'll catch you next week. All the best for your teams heading into round 8. Hopefully there's, knock on wood, no carnage, and your captains pay off, your cash cows move, and your primos and mid prices absolutely gun it. So we'll see you same time, same place, and we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in. Catches.